We've heard in this first reading about Paul and Barnabas in Antioch, and they have been preaching the word of God, gathered huge crowds of Jews and pagans alike who've hung on their word, and they've been so successful that some of the Jews have taken umbrage, are jealous, and managed to get them kicked out of town. But as they're leaving, Paul and Barnabas remind them of their original calling, reminds the Jewish people of their vocation. He says to them, and this is what the Lord said over his people, "I have made you a light for the nations, so that my salvation may reach the ends of the earth. That is why I've created you, to be a light for the nations." And they had forgotten. And so now they did not want that light to spread, and kicked Paul and Barnabas out. In the second reading, we hear John speak about seeing a huge number, impossible to count, from every tribe, nation, race, language. They were standing in front of the throne and in front of the Lamb, dressed in white robes and holding palms in their hands. This huge, vast number of people are the people that have been brought in because Paul, Barnabas, and the other disciples remembered their vocation. They remembered who they were, and they were faithful to that. Father Emmett has one of his favorite saints is St. Catherine of Siena. And St. Catherine has said, now if I can remember the phrase, it's, I'll need to get the piece of paper, I've forgotten. I didn't want to read from my notes, yes. She said, "Be who God meant you to be, and you will set the world on fire." The Jews had forgotten who they were, and therefore the world wasn't set on fire. But the disciples did, and the world has been changed because of it. And I think one of the big problems that we have is we forget who we are, who God meant us to be, our vocation. I was reading a book a wee while back ago, a couple of years ago, by a lady called Sherry Waddell, called Forming Intentional Disciples. And it was depressing and encouraging both at the same time. Have you ever read books which are depressing and encouraging at the same time? This one was depressing because of the statistics that it gave, but it was encouraging also because of the solution. And she spoke about something that I've experienced in my life growing up as a young person. I've often heard my parents or other adults say, when somebody had left the church, they'd say, but they'll come back. When they get married, they'll come back to church. When they have children, they'll come back to church. And I guess you've heard that as well. I think I've heard it quite a lot. But one of the things that Sherry Waddell was telling us in the book is that the statistics show that that's actually, for the most part, not true. Once people leave the church, they usually leave the church, and we don't see them again. I was looking up that fount of knowledge and trustworthy knowledge, which is Wikipedia. Have you heard of Wikipedia? And it was giving us some facts about the Catholic Church in Scotland. So here's what it says. Between 1982 and 2010, the proportion of Scottish Catholics dropped 18%. Baptisms dropped 39%. The Catholic Church's marriages dropped 63%. The number of priests also dropped. When I began here at the Cathedral 6 years ago, when we did baptism preparation courses, we would have about 35 couples. There'd be 70 people in the room doing preparation for marriage. That was usually at the beginning of the year, and the later sessions would have 30 to 25 or so people. And we had 4 sessions per year, 4 marriage preparation courses per year. That number has dropped. Now we have 7 couples coming for marriage preparation per year. we only run 3 courses. We've run, the present course we're running at the moment has 7 people, and that's kind of now the new norm. Baptism preparation, we have in groups, and normally there'd be 10, 12, 15 couples. Father Emmett is doing a baptism preparation in the next week or 2. There's 1 couple coming for baptism. And we only do the course every 2 months, 1 couple. We had, you can see the decorations here, First Communion yesterday. Anybody doing their Second Communion this morning? Anybody that was there? Oh, they're all, it's a children's liturgy. But we did the First Communion this morning. And at Pentecost, in a couple of weeks' time, we've got confessions. Not confessions, confirmations, that's the one. But the likelihood, the probability is that actually the majority of those kids, by the time they get to secondary school, will stop coming to church. That's the probability. And actually, you know that. You know it. I come from a family of 6 kids. Of the 6 of us, only 2 are still going to Mass. Me, I go to Mass every week, every day, and my brother. Out of the 14 grandchildren, only 3 still go to Mass. And I don't reckon they'll continue for too long, because they're still very young. Does that ring any bells here? Does that kind of resonate with anybody else here? Maybe it's just my family, you know? Yeah. Something's not quite right. Can I ask you a question? How many of you here were born in Aberdeen and brought up as Catholics here in Aberdeen? Stick your hands up if that's you. Born in Aberdeen, brought up as Catholics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in a group of 200 and something people. How many people became Catholics here in Aberdeen? Oh, more. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 people, okay. On last night, the Vigil Mass, nobody was born and brought up as a Catholic from Aberdeen, and only 1 person had become Catholic. That was a congregation about 100. This morning, I think we had 5 brought up, and maybe 5 more who'd become Catholics. Why am I bringing this up? Because I'm bringing this up because the reality is the Aberdeen Catholic Church, this congregation, we would be in these 2 benches probably on a Sunday morning. We'd have only 1 Mass. If it wasn't for people coming from outside into the church here, we would only have 1 Mass and we'd fill up these 3 benches probably. That's a reality. We have forgotten our vocation. We have forgotten whom God meant us to be. And we need to remember so that that doesn't happen to your kids, because the thing is, it's not about Father Keith obviously wants to keep the parish going. Yes, I do. But it's not about the church and the parish. It's more personal than that. All of us have people whom we love that we would love to see here. It's about your sons and daughters. It's about your brothers and sisters. It's about your friends and neighbors having an experience of the love of God poured into their hearts, of a relationship with God, and not being able to experience that because we've forgotten how. Maybe you can think just now, who would you, if in all your dreams, who would you love to have sitting next to you at Mass that's not here? because they don't have faith? Who is it you would love to see come to faith and be able to share that experience of faith with you? Picture in your mind that person, or maybe several people. If by some miracle they came to Mass, what would you really love them to experience here in this church? What would you love them to come away experiencing? Hopefully you've thought of several things. But what you've started to do is you've started to imagine the what could be, or maybe the what should be of this parish, in this parish. You've started to dream. You have a vision of the what might be or should be. And we need to have a vision. If we don't see the what could be, we will be satisfied with the what is. And the what is a lowering of a coffin into the grave. It's a slow death, which we're presiding over. And we are not called for that. We don't exist for that. I will make you a light for the nations, to bring my salvation to the ends of the earth. Go, make disciples of all nations. That's what we're made for. You've started, just by that little question, started to dream. And I've been dreaming, I've been imagining what could be as well. In fact, I've been doing it with several people. A small group with Father Emmett and also with the bishop. We've been dreaming about what we would like to see this place, how what we'd like to see this place become, so that we can start to work towards it. Because if we don't see the future, imagine the future, as I say, we'll stay with this. And this is a slow death. Have a look in your bulletins, on the front page of your bulletins. Have a look. Front page, underneath the title, you'll see the vision that we've come up with for this parish. A Christ-centered community which is alive, forming and sending out joyful followers of Jesus. And I would actually add another phrase. I was thinking about it while I was preparing this homily. I would have it, a Christ-centered community which is alive, forming and sending out joyful followers of Jesus to be kindling for Scotland. To be kindling for Scotland. This is our dream for the parish. We dream that this church, this Catholic church here in Aberdeen, would be a place where your friends could come and experience love and friendship, experience meaningful community, where they could be acknowledged, recognized, accepted, feel at home. We dream of a community where each member of the parish has had a profound experience of the presence of Jesus Christ that has been personal, that has been dynamic, that has been life-changing. That we dream that each member of this community would put Jesus at the center of their lives. And everything that they do and are flows out of that. That each person will have made an intentional, a conscious choice to become a disciple of Jesus. We dream of a parish that is alive because each person is filled with the love, the life, the power of the Holy Spirit, and uses the gifts that he's given. And so that the presence of God in each person's life is palpable. When people meet you, they have a sense that God is present, working. That when they come into this celebration, they walk into the presence of God. They know God is here. We dream of that. We dream of you being disciples who grow personally and emotionally and spiritually and as a community to maturity by deepening your life of prayer, by developing a better understanding of the scriptures and the teachings of the church, by giving of yourself in service to the church and to your neighbors, by using the gifts, by using the goods that God has given you, so that those goods can be used in the mission that God has given the church. We dream of a church full of joyful followers of Jesus who are joyful in hope, strong in faith, and deep in hope. We dream that these joyful followers of Jesus, you, will not just have an impact on the city of Aberdeen, but that you would be kindling to Scotland, that you would set Scotland on fire with faith. That's our dream for you. That's our dream for this parish.